Have you ever lived through an evening that began as plain as any other but by midnight changed the direction of your entire life? That is exactly what unfolded for me. My name is Linda Carter. I'm 61 years old and live in a calm, tree-lined suburb of Northern Virginia. For nearly 7 years my days had been steady, perhaps too steady. My children were grown, building their own lives on opposite coasts. The house felt wide, hollow, echoing with memories of my late husband James. My time was filled with tea, novels, tending the garden and silence. I convinced myself that solitude was peace, that I needed nothing more. But then, on one stormy weekend, someone from my past appeared at my door, and everything shifted. His name was Michael Reynolds. Long ago, he had been one of James's closest college companions. He attended our wedding. He spent holidays with us when we were young. Then life pulled us onto different paths. A birthday card now and then, a holiday email once in a while. That was all that remained until last week, when he suddenly called. He said he was passing through Virginia and asked if we could meet. I suggested coffee, something simple, but he paused and asked if he might stay overnight. Hotels were full, he explained. My first instinct was to refuse, but he was an old friend and I had a guest room that hadn't been touched in years. Against the rhythm of falling rain, I said yes. When he arrived, I almost didn't recognize him. His dark hair had faded to silver at the temples, his beard carefully trimmed. Yet his smile, that same warm, disarming smile, remained unchanged. The scent of rain clung to him as he stepped inside, and for the first time in years, my home felt alive. We stood in the entryway, awkward at first, as if the years between us had built a wall we needed to take down. Slowly, over tea, well, tea for me and whiskey for him, that wall began to crumble. We sat at the kitchen island, the lamp above us casting soft shadows as the rain tapped at the glass. We talked about everything. My children, his retirement, the journeys he had taken, the regrets, the memories that lingered. It wasn't shallow. It wasn't forced. It was genuine, honest, and unexpectedly comforting. At one point, his hand brushed my cheek as he tucked a stray lock of hair away. My heart jolted in a way I hadn't felt in years. I didn't move back, but I didn't lean forward either. The moment lingered between us, heavy with questions left unspoken, before it slipped into silence. By 11, I showed him to the guest room, warm and tidy, with fresh sheets and a view of the yard. He thanked me, his smile lingering just a little longer than expected. I closed my door, leaned against it, and realized my heart was racing. I hadn't felt anticipation like that since my youth. Around midnight, something stirred me awake. Maybe it was the branches knocking at the window. Or maybe it was the presence of another soul under my roof. Then I heard it. Footsteps, steady, careful, moving down the hall. Curious, I slipped out of bed and walked toward the guest room. A flicker of light glowed from beneath the door. Candlelight. My pulse quickened. I opened the door gently, and there he was. Michael, sitting at the edge of the bed, a single candle burning on the nightstand. His expression shifted from startled to tender when he saw me. "I couldn't sleep," he murmured. "Too many thoughts." I stepped in, unsure why I hadn't simply gone back to bed. "Are you all right?" I whispered. He nodded, glancing around. "Being here, it brings back James, our younger days, your laugh, things I didn't realize I missed." The candlelight painted shadows across his face, and for the first time, I didn't see him as just an old friend. He apologized for touching my hair earlier, for crossing a line, but I stepped closer and said, "You didn't." His hand reached for mine, and in that moment, all the years of loneliness shifted. I didn't let go. Instead, I sat beside him. We didn't kiss. We didn't rush. We simply sat together, hands brushing, talking until hours passed. He told me of his quiet divorce a decade ago, how his dreams had dimmed. I spoke of losing James, of the silence after widowhood, of fearing my last new beginning was already behind me. He listened in a way no one had in years, his presence steadying me. At some point, I leaned my head against his shoulder. For the first time in so long, I wasn't alone. Morning light streamed through the kitchen window as we made tea. We laughed about small things, the birds in the yard, old movies, even the stubborn wasp that chased him while he helped me sweep the patio. Yet under it all, the memory of the candle lingered. Every glance carried weight. Every word held meaning. By afternoon, as we flipped through photo albums, pictures of James, the children, our younger selves, my heart softened in ways I didn't expect. I whispered that my house had held so much joy and sorrow that I wasn't sure it had space for anything new. Michael's voice was calm as he replied, "There's always room. Sometimes we just have to open the door again." That evening, on the porch as the sun dropped low, we shared wine and silence. Not the silence of emptiness, but of closeness. He reached for my hand, his words gentle. "I don't want to rush this, Linda, but I need you to know, I've felt more alive these past 2 days than I have in years." When he finally kissed me, it wasn't hurried or desperate. It was steady, soft, honest. The kind of kiss that whispers, "I see you. I'm here." Later that night, as he paused at the guest room door, he looked back and asked, "Where would you like me tonight?" My heart pounded, but I didn't hesitate. "With me," I said. And so he was. We didn't chase fireworks or pretend to be young again. Instead, we let the years fall away, undressing not just from our clothes but from the layers of solitude and fear we had both carried. We held each other, talked, laughed, and rediscovered intimacy in its most genuine form. When morning came, he was in the kitchen making scrambled eggs and toast. I leaned against the doorway, watching him, realizing love doesn't fade with age. Sometimes it circles back. Sometimes it waits for rain and a knock at the door. Michael left 2 days later, but not without promising to return. We didn't name what this was. We only promised to keep the door open. And for the first time in years, I truly believed in new beginnings.